All right, we are back again here in Ohio for another episode of Alexploring. I am Alex, and I am here in Westerville, Ohio, to find all of the historical markers in this historic suburb of Columbus. So let's get going to our first stop here at the Westerville Public Library. So we have made it to the Westerville Public Library here. This is the first stop here in Westerville, celebrating Agnes Meyer Driscoll. So the house at this location, right there, was the childhood home of Agnes Meyer Driscoll, known as the First Lady of the Naval Cryptology. Her career spanned from World War I to the Cold War. Driscoll attended Otterbein University before graduating from The Ohio State University with majors in physics, math, music, and foreign languages. During World War I, she enlisted in the U.S. Navy as a chief yeoman, the highest rank possible for a woman at the time. After the war, Driscoll rose to become the chief civilian cryptanalyst for the U.S. Navy, breaking major Imperial Japanese Navy codes prior to World War II. Before and during World War II, Driscoll's code-breaking efforts compelled the redesign of the North Carolina class of American battleships, gained advantages that would help win the Battle of Midway and overall compromise Imperial Japan's naval operations. She was also recruited to help break the German Enigma code system. After the war, Driscoll worked on projects involving the Soviet Union for the Armed Forces Security Agency, later known as the National Security Agency, until she retired in 1959. Known as Miss Aggie or Madam X, she is interred at Arlington National Cemetery in Washington and was inducted into the National Security Hall of Fame in 2000. All right, so now that we have the Agnes Meyer Driscoll here, we're going to go across the street for the next one. But I wanted to let you know that the Westerville Public Library has a really awesome Westerville museum that we'll check out on a later time. But highly recommend checking it out. So the next historical marker is right here, right across the street from the library here. And this one's going to be about the Underground Railroad. Specifically, this building, Stoner House. The Stoner House, built in around 1852 on a natural spring thought to have medicinal properties, served as an inn, tavern, and spot, and as the hiding place for runaway slaves. George Stoner, owner and operator, drove the stagecoach from Columbus to Westerville, transporting passengers who spent the night in this building. Runaway slaves were brought to this location in the luggage compartment of Stoner's stagecoach and hidden in the cellar until they could be transported further north on their journey to Canada and freedom. So this was an integral stop on the Underground Railroad. The back of this sign has the same text. So yeah, history living right here in Westerville. So if I remember right, there are still some remnants of the underground entrances here, but I think that this is now a bunch of businesses that operate here. So pretty interesting to see how this 170-year-old building is still being used by businesses today here in Uptown Westerville. All right, so that's our first two historical markers here in Westerville. Let's head back to the car, and we will head to our next one. We are here now at Otterbein University at the Hanby House, and this is where we will find our next historical marker. So this historical marker is actually across the street. So let's walk on over and we will go ahead and read it. All right. So here is the next historical marker commemorating Otterbein College, which is now known as Otterbein University. This historic college opened in 1847 as Otterbein University of Ohio, named for Philip William Otterbein, a founder of the Church of the United Brethren in Christ. The church later merged with the Evangelical Church to become the Evangelical United Brethren Church, and later with the Methodist Church to become the United Methodist Church. Otterbein was one of the first colleges in the United States to open its doors to persons of color and women without restrictions on what they could study. While Otterbein's educational offerings have evolved over the years to meet society's needs, the college has remained committed to the liberal arts as the foundation of all learning. Here is the main building. There's a lot of construction going on here. Didn't know. But this college was founded by Ben Hanby, who lived across the street. So here is Hanby House. This is a Ohio History Connection site. It's a museum. I've gone through it before when I was in 4th grade. But we will have to come back to see the inside of the home and learn a little bit more about Ben Hanby. But we'll do that on this in this video, as well as we're going to be heading to his gravesite next. So stay with us, and we're going to be heading back to the car and heading over there. So here is the next Ohio historical marker in memory of Benjamin R. Hanby. Graduated from Otterbein College in 1858. He wrote the song Up on the Housetop in 1864. Very cool. It's right next to Cohen Hall and Roush Hall as well here on the campus of Otterbein University. We're going to head to the graveyard and see his gravesite now. All right, we are here at Otterbein Cemetery. So let's go on and find the gravesite of Ben Hanby and the Ohio historical marker. Unlike the other graveyards and cemeteries that we have visited, this is an old cemetery, but it's also, there's a lot of newer graves as well. So you got people buried here spanning centuries of life here in Westerville. So you can see a lot of graves here in different shapes and sizes. We're going to be going down this path here. That's going to lead us straight to the Ohio historical marker. All right, so here is the historical marker. Benjamin Russell Hanby, 1833 to 1867. Songwriter and minister of the United Brethren Church. Hanby was an Otterbein College graduate, class of 1858, known throughout the world for the inspiring songs Darling Nellie Gray, Up on the Housetop, and Who Is He in Yonder Stall. Hanby House in Westerville, which we just saw, is maintained as a memorial honoring Benjamin and his father, Bishop William Hanby. So if we just go here, there's a little bench area and whatnot, and here his marker. He was a 33-year-old man But you can see they have his son or daughter was a doctor here, and then the last man editor, um, Bernard Hanby. So his all of his, looks like either, they're all family here. So there's Ben Hamby's stone, and you can see here his wife has her name on the side here, but over the silent sea passed Benjamin R. Hamby on March 16th, 1867. Let's go make our way to our next historical marker, shall we? All right, so we are at the Howard House here, and coming up on our next historical marker, we're back at Otterbein for this one. But this one here is all about Temperance Row. It's a big part of Westerville's history is the Prohibition movement and whatnot. So here lived the reformers of the Anti-Saloon League of America, who led the movement that turned the United States, quote, dry in 1920 with the 18th Amendment prohibiting the manufacture, sale, or transportation of intoxicating liquor. Moving its headquarters to Westerville in 1909, the League built a publishing house that buried the liquor industry in a 10-year avalanche of books, pamphlets, and periodicals that helped win Prohibition and made Westerville the, quote, dry capital of the world. Reverend Pearlie A. Baker, the League's general superintendent, bought 11 acres and erected his rustic home at Park and Grove Streets in 1910. League founder Howard Hy Russell built next door a house later owned by Ernest H. Charrington, general manager and chief of publications. These and 4 more houses along Grove Street were dubbed Temperance Row. The assemblage of mostly craftsman-style houses grew during the 1910s into a park-like enclave of 27 homes and a row house built or occupied by League leaders and workers. Prohibition ended in 1933 with repeal of the 18th Amendment. Temperance Row is listed on the National Register of Historic Places for its national, state, and local significance. So there it is. All right, let's head to our next stop. This church was organized April 22nd, 1843, in conjunction with the Central College of Ohio on land donated by Squire Timothy Lee. The college, chartered in March 1842, continued until 1892. This brick chapel was erected in 1870 under the leadership of the Reverend Levi P. Sabin and was remodeled during the pastorate of the Reverend Robert B. Wilson from 1943 to 1953. So this has been here. This church, this old church, has been here since 1870. So for 153 years. Absolutely gorgeous. We have 3 more to go for all the historical markers here in Westerville, but in Fairfield County or in Franklin County. So, yeah. Here's another little tidbit about Central College. This erected in 1842 cornerstone right here was originally part of Main Hall. The 3-story brick structure, once located northwest of the present sanctuary, was built to serve the Central College of Ohio, a Presbyterian college of higher learning, incorporated on March 23, 1842. The college, however, did not prosper, and in April 1850, college courses were discontinued, and the school was reorganized as the Central College Academy. The academy closed in 1894, and the land and buildings were put up for sale. In 1895, the Ohio School for the Deaf Alumni Association purchased the acreage and buildings, founded the home of the aged and infirm deaf. Due to heavy deterioration, Main Hall was demolished in 1967. Central College Presbyterian Church, an offshoot of the Blendon Presbyterian Church, was incorporated on April 22, 1843. For the first 27 years, the congregation met within the walls of Main Hall until its sanctuary was constructed in 1870, now referred to as the Ellsworth Chapel here. So let's head on over to our next stop, which is going to be another church. Our next stop's here in Westerville is going to be here in Blendon Township. There are 2 historical markers here near this cemetery that I'm at, the Blendon Cemetery. So we're going to get to the one here on this side of the street, and then we're going to make our way across the street to the park where there's a second one. After that, there's only one more historical marker left here in the Franklin County part of Westerville. So let's get going and see these historical markers. So this historical marker is located in the oldest part of the cemetery, with graves going all the way back to the 1860s that I've seen so far, 1850s. So here we are, the first Blendon Presbyterian Church. On this site in 1829, the Presbyterians of Blendon Township built their first church. The land was donated by Timothy Lee for, quote, church and burial purposes. The Reverend Ebenezer Washburn, buried here, was the first minister. So you can see right there. The church was destroyed 1 week after its dedication by an apparent act of arson. Interesting. Very interesting. You can see, beautiful day here in Westerville, hanging out with some dead people. So the next marker is right across the street at that park here. So we're going to cross over here. So let's get going across the street. So here we got this cute little park right here at the corner of Dempsey and Hempstead. Nice little place to take kids, but it's right here. And it is commemorating Blendon Township's early Presbyterian churches and church bell. So the first Blendon Presbyterian Church was located at the intersection of Dempsey and Hempstead Roads on what is now part of Blendon Central Cemetery. Right there. Timothy Lee donated land at the northeast corner for a church and cemetery. The church was dedicated on December 6, 1829, but it was burned that same night under suspicious circumstances. Following the fire, the congregation's member built another edifice on Phelps Acre across Hempstead Road, and so named for benefactor Edward Phelps Sr. The congregation held services there from 1830 to 1865. It was believed that the church was finally abandoned and dismantled piecemeal after the Central College Presbyterian Church was finished in 1870. So in 2014, the Blendon Township trustees used ground-penetrating radar to locate the Blendon Presbyterian Church on Phelps Acre. Investigators discovered the church's foundation at a depth of 4 inches below grade and extending to a depth of 12 to 18 inches. The foundation consists of bricks, rocks, and fieldstone. 3 cornerstones were discovered and are displayed along with bricks marking the foundation's 40 by 32 foot perimeter. Emmett Fickle found the church's bells when he acquired the Hart homestead at 7328 Hempstead Road. An earlier historical marker indicated Mr. Fickle gave the bell to Maurice Mack and Dorothy McVeigh, who refurbished it, before presenting it to Central College Presbyterian Church in 1981. The church loans the bell to the park, which was placed here during Blendon Township's bicentennial year in 2015. So this marker was at one point lost, I can know for a fact, but it has been found here. And laid out on the ground here is the cornerstone and the outline of the church that stood here at this intersection. So they excavated it. You can see it's the old stone. Got some brick here. Don't know if that's original or not, but it pretty much shows the outline of this church. There's another cornerstone here. One not so much here. But then here coming up is the next one. So this is how big this church was. It wasn't that big. Very small. And third cornerstone. So here's that bell that was donated or on loan from Central College Presbyterian Church. Still stands here. Probably can still ring. No one can touch it though. Too tall. All right, we have one last historical marker here. Let's go back to the car and end up at our final stop. All right, so I am headed back home. I could not find that last historical marker at the address that was given, so I have on the way towards the highway, I actually found it, but it was inaccessible for regular people like me to get there. So with that being said, I am off, and we are going hard on the Ohio historical markers here. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment if you enjoyed any part of this video, and stay tuned for our next. This guy gets going in front of me. So with that being said, history starts here in your backyard. So let's see you next time. Let's go for another adventure.